Dr. Bruce Lipton, thank you so much for being here with us. Your work has inspired my work that I used to help shift and transform people's lives. And I'm really excited to bring this to the parenting aspect because there is such a shift that is evolving with this movement into conscious parenting. And as a molecular cell biologist, it's so exciting to have you being present and being a part of this shift so that we can talk about the science behind what's going on in parenting. In your book, The Biology of Belief, right? The core concept that I took from this book is that our body can only be in either a loving, thriving, healing state or really a fear and protection, and that each individual cell is either or, that there's not much in between. With the rise of childhood illness, depression, food sensitivities, what needs to change?
What needs to change is this. There's a very simple understanding. There's a movie that almost everybody is familiar with called The Matrix. Mm-hmm. And the story of The Matrix is that we've all been programmed, and that if you take the red pill, you can get out of the program. And if you look for The Matrix in the video store, it's in science fiction. But the truth is The Matrix is a documentary. We all have been programmed. And there's a reason for the programming. It's not a negative thing. It has to do with the simple fact of this, is that in order to be conscious, you have to have something to be conscious of. And what I mean by that is, let's say a newborn child could speak the moment it comes out of the birth canal, and the baby's coming out, and then you say, hello, welcome, tell me something. And the baby will have to look at you and say, look, I don't know anything, I just got here. In order to be conscious, you have to have some awareness. So an analogy is an iPod. You buy a brand new iPod out of the store, you push the play button, nothing plays, and people say, no, you didn't download any information first. And I go, this is precisely the exact same thing about the mind. In order for the mind to function, to be able to think, to be able to create, you have to have some data to create from. So nature creates a situation for the first 7 years of a child's life where their brain is at a lower EEG frequency than consciousness, and it's in theta, and theta is imagination, which of course kids, especially between 2 and 7, are living in the imaginary real world because their brain is functioning at that theta level, mm-hmm. But theta is also hypnosis.
Yes.
And there's a reason for this, and it's simply this, is let me just ask you, about how many details do you think is necessary for a child to learn to be a functional member of a family and a community? And all of a sudden you start to realize, well, it's thousands of details. I say, okay, teach a child thousands of details. Give them a book at 2 years old, sit down and say, look, study all this stuff so you can become a member of the family. The fact is that it's never going to happen that way. Nature avoids that whole problem by having the child's brain in theta, which is hypnosis. And the relevance about that is a child learns how to be a member of a family and a community by observing other members of the family and the community and recording their behavior. So a child focuses on the mother and the father and then later on the siblings in the community. And during this time, the child doesn't have to be coached or taught. Everything the child sees is just being recorded, like a video camera, downloaded in the subconscious base. When a child is 7, the brain really starts ramping up to a higher functioning state called alpha, which is consciousness. So by the time a child is 7, it has enough data to be conscious about. But it also has all the necessary programs to be a functional member of that family and that society. So the first 7 years is a download situation. Well, the problem with that is the child downloads everything.
Yeah.
and so if the parents are expressing any kind of negative behaviors, the child is recording those, and those behaviors are coming down in the child's subconscious. And that's okay. Once a child's 7 is going to be conscious, it doesn't need the subconscious database. And I go, well, this is the most important fact, is that we can also think with our conscious mind. And when we think, we're not paying attention. So in other words, if I say, Stephanie, what are you doing next Thursday? That moment that I ask you that question, your mind is going to go off and think about what's going on Thursday. But that means at that moment, then your conscious mind is not paying attention to what's going on. Well, the relevance is science has revealed that up to 95, 99% of our life, we are thinking, which means when you're thinking, you don't just stop what you're doing. You're not like walking down the street and then have a thought and stop. And then go, oh, okay, now I'm back on the street again. Or driving the car and you have a thought, what do you do? The important point is this. The design of the system is when a child is thinking, or when a human is thinking, that we don't stop what we're doing. We just switch default to the subconscious and carry out those programs, because almost everything that we communicate or do in our lives is learned by the subconscious like a habit. So if you're driving the car and you're having a thought, the subconscious knows how to drive the car. It's been programmed, so it knows how to do that. So you continue driving. Well, the point becomes very serious here, and that is this. That means 95% of the day, we are not operating from our conscious mind, but we're defaulting to the subconscious. And I say, what's the difference? And the difference is profound. The conscious mind is you. The conscious mind is creative. The conscious mind has wishes, desires, aspirations, what you want. And I go, what about the subconscious mind? I go, database of stored programs. All it does, it knows how to walk, it knows how to talk, it knows how to drive the car when you're old enough. And all of these issues are now programs. So the point is this. 95% of the day, mind is not paying attention. It's not being mindful. And as a result, flip into these subconscious programs. And remember, these subconscious programs came from other people, so that we're actually behaving like our mother, our father, our family, our community, whatever those programs are. Well, the problem with that is when you're defaulting to the subconscious and you're engaging in programs, the reason why you're doing it is your conscious mind's not paying attention. Well, there's a problem with that, and that is, well, then the behavior that I play 95% of the day, I'm not observing it because it's coming from the automatic program. So when I give my lectures, I usually give the story. I say, look, I go back in history. I know you were probably close to a friend. You knew your friend's behavior very, very well, and you happen to know your friend's parent. And one day you see your friend has the same behavior as their parent. So you volunteer very excitedly. You go, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. And then you back away from Bill, because Bill goes totally ballistic, says, how can you compare me to my dad? Most everybody laughs at that moment. I go, well, this is a very profound story. Number one, most everybody's experienced it. And I say, but what's profound about it is this. Everybody else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. The only one who doesn't see it is Bill. And the reason is simple. He got the behavior from his dad during the download period for the first 7 years. And he plays that behavior because when his conscious mind's busy, he just defaults to the subconscious, plays his dad's behavior. But then because his conscious mind was busy, he's the one that doesn't see it because now he's playing a default behavior. Everybody else sees it. The most important understanding is this. The life that we live day by day is not the life from our conscious wishes, desires, our creative conscious mind's efforts. The life we live day by day is from the program. And if we get a negative program, then 95% of the day you're going to play that negative program. And you're the one that's not going to see it. And as a result, you're going to stymie your wishes. You're going to not get that you want. You wake up in the morning thinking, today I'm going out to get the best job, find the best relationship. Today's a help. And I go, great, conscious thinking. And then all of a sudden I say, yeah, but when you leave the house and you start thinking about all the things you're going to do during the day, the behavior you're playing, it doesn't support that end. The behavior you're playing is from your mother, your father, and if they have any negative aspects of that behavior, you're going to exercise them. Well, what's the net result? You're not living the life that you want. You're living the life of the program, and yet you're the one that doesn't see it. So this is the biggest issue in the whole world, and that is this. I go forward with great wishes and desires. I leave the house. I come home at the end of the day. Didn't work. All the things I wanted just didn't work. What is that person left to think? That person who just came home. They think, geez, I went forward with great wishes and desires, and it didn't manifest. What is the conclusion? The only thought they can come up with is, it's not in my fate. It's not in my cards. It's just not in my life. The universe is against me. I'm the one that wanted to be successful. And look, it didn't work. So all of a sudden, the whole point comes down to this. When our lives are not working, we perceive ourselves to be victims. Without having seen, like Bill, well, during the day, you're playing these programs that are sabotaging you all day long, and you're the one that can't see it. So the net result is your life is actually not coming from your wishes and desires only 5% of the time. 95% of your life is coming from what you downloaded from your family and your community. Now, this is, like, oh, God, this is bad news. At a certain point, I go, yeah, but what if you became mindful? What if you didn't let your mind wander? And then here's the interesting fact that if you didn't let your mind wander, then that means you'd be creating your life from your conscious mind, wishes and desires. Well, almost everybody out there has had an experience in their lives where they actually stayed mindful, default to the subconscious. And I can tell you exactly when that was, is when you fall head over heels in love with somebody. When you fall in love with somebody, that individual that's in front of you is the one you want to be with. And interesting enough, just simple point is, why would you let your mind wander when everything you want is right in front of your face? So it turns out from a scientific assessment that we stay mindful when we stay in love like that. And I go, well, what's the relevance of being in love like that? And everybody knows that it's the honeymoon period. It's where life is so beautiful and so exciting, and you're so healthy and you're so happy, and every day you wake up with, oh my God, I'm so in love, and I have more love today, and life is so beautiful. I go, your life could have been crap up till the moment you met this person, and then you meet them, and now it's beautiful and great. And I go, what's the difference? The answer is, until you met the person, you were operating from subconscious programs, but when you fell in love, you took over control with a conscious mind, and you ran your life with wishes and desires, and guess what? You manifested heaven on earth. What's the relevance here? And the relevance is, if we understand this, then we'll have to recognize that most of our life is not really coming from our wishes and desires, it's coming from the program. And these programs are passed from generation to generation to generation. Because even if a parent says, oh, I'm going to be the best parent, I'm going to be the conscious parent, I go, well, it's going to work about maybe 5% of the day, because that's how much you're going to be in consciousness. 95% of the day, you're going to be off in thought. I go, what's the relevance? I go, well, then, in regard to parenting, you're going to play the program of how you got parented by your parents. Well, 95% of their life came from the program that they got parented by their parents. So we pass through a generation to generation. 95% of our behavior is just a replay of what we downloaded from our parents. And so the issue is, we need to understand that before you try to make a change in your life. Because if you don't know that, you think, oh, it's just my conscious mind creating this. I go, no, your conscious mind's not even doing that. When your conscious mind was creating it, it was heaven on earth. So like the movie The Matrix, we've all been programmed for 7 years. And like in the movie The Matrix, I say, well, what happens if you take the red pill? Well, you get out of the program. And I go, well, in human experience, falling in love is taking the red pill. Yeah. And what was the result of that? And the answer was a beautiful life. So what we have to recognize is our lives have been programmed, and that if we understand the program, we can change the program. If we change the program, we can create a better and different life. And then before we go too deep, and you say, well, listen, I got programmed before I even was born and through the first 7 years. I don't remember what the programs are. I mean, I was like 1 year old. I was being programmed. And I go, 95% of your life comes from the program. It simply means your life is a reflection of your programming. Mm-hmm. So, beautiful point, simple point. You don't have to go back in time and history to find out what the program is. You're living the program. Simple point. What works and comes easily for you, the things that you like and they show up and everything comes easy, is because you have programs that allow that to be in your life. But anything you desire and wish, but you have trouble getting there, you have to work hard, you have to put a lot of effort into it, you have to sweat over it to make it happen. I say, well, why are you working so hard? And the answer is simple, because inevitably you have programs that don't support that. So here's the fun part. A, you've been programmed, bad part. B, fun part, you don't have to go back and review your life and try to punish all those people who gave you those negative programs, because you are living the program. And therefore, you just have to look at your life at the current moment and say, what things am I trying to that I'm not getting? And I'm going to tell you right now, that would represent a program in your subconscious that's not supporting you. So this saves us a lot of time, a lot of anxiety, a lot of trouble. Don't go backwards. You can just start today with what is it you want to change, and then go in, and there are many different belief modification techniques, energy psychology, these other issues that are important in rewriting our subconscious beliefs. So I need to close this part with the most important point. You can rewrite these beliefs. If you rewrite them and put in beliefs that match your wishes and desires, then that means 95% of the day when you're defaulting, you're still going to be playing behavioral programs that will take you to the destination you want rather than the destination your parents programmed you to go. So this becomes very critical. A, we've been programmed, but B, we can rewrite the programs.
Beautiful. I think that awareness is huge. There are moments where I stop and I watch my 3-year-old son, and I see the process happening with this knowledge. And it's a conscious reminder to myself to watch my actions. And yet, like you said, when I see it, when I recognize it, I can step into this light and I can be this person that I want to be, this model for him. And then that automatic thinking steps right back in and really takes over. So I think that the awareness is huge. Do you have a favorite behavior modification technique that you recommend?
There are many different ones. I can only recommend the one that I personally know and have used, because I can't say I tried all the others. I have listings. I have listings of all these techniques on my website under resources, how to beliefs and rewrite beliefs. There's 20 or 30 different processes that you can use. The one I'm most familiar with, because the one I use, is called Psych-K. It's like psychology, abbreviated PSYCH-K.com, Psych-K.com. If you go on the website, you can read all about it. But for me, it's most exciting because I want people to understand this is not a long, drawn-out, affair that you have to work and sweat and, It's like so simple. You can change beliefs in 10 minutes.
Beautiful.
You can that you've had your whole life. And it's an experience of what is called super learning. Okay. So it's an ability to rewrite a program that has limited you, and you can do it in 10, 15 minutes at the most. So for me, it's like, this is real exciting.
That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that wisdom, that knowledge. Circling back to talking about childhood illnesses that are on the ride, the food sensitivities that are on the ride, what's going on in our biological makeup, and can that part be reprogrammed using some of these techniques?
Absolutely.